We want you to plan for success. Welcome to Planning Matters Radio.
Hi, Peter. Good to see you. I'm really excited about our topic today, a 5-step mid-year financial checkup. The S&P just completed the worst first half of any year since 1970. It was the 5th most volatile year for markets in the past 30 years. So now, of course, is a great time to get our financial house in order. And you are recommending 5 steps to make sure that we are well positioned for the next 6 months or beyond, no matter what the market does. And the first step here that you're recommending, check your beneficiary designations. This is a very important but often overlooked step.
Yeah, and it's sort of a last things first kind of approach, right? Because we put the optimized retirement plan together for our clients, and it looks at income, investments, taxes, healthcare, and legacy. However, that legacy step, a lot of people forget to do the simple things to make the legacy happen in the most optimal way that they would prefer, and sometimes leave things out of date or missing completely that can cause some beneficiary nightmares. No one's wanting to leave a burden on their family and their beneficiaries unnecessarily. And we just need to double check and review that. And now is a great time to do that, despite the direction and the volatility in the market. Erin, you noted that it's been a pretty bad, awful 6-month period here, but there are still some proactive things that people need to be doing.
Right. And some of them are very easy, like you mentioned. Number 2 here you're recommending is your budget. Peter, I think this is one of those things that I just always put off.
Yeah, I think everybody does. I mean, it's one of those lost, forgotten arts, it seems like, that just because of the ease of modern technology and electronic transactions and banking that we sort of forget about. But especially as you are making that transition to retirement, where you plan to walk away from your paycheck and live off of the finite amount of money that you've been able to build up over your life's work, you need to understand how much you're spending, how quickly you're going through it, and that budgeting process really becomes the highest priority and paramount to retirement success. So I actually go about the budgeting process 2 different ways. One is the line item budget. Let's list out all of your monthly expenses and obligations. What's your mortgage payment? What's your insurance? How much does it cost to keep the lights on? And what are you doing for travel and gas and expenses and keeping food on the table? Those are the line items in the budget. But at the end of the day, those are subsistence. Those are survival items. Those are the bare minimum requirements that you need to cover. So in addition to that, I encourage people to do what I call the look back budget. Break out your last 6 to 12 months worth of bank statements. And on the front cover, there's 4 numbers. There's beginning balance, credits, debits, and ending balance. And I want to take a look at the debits. That's how much you actually spend. That includes lifestyle, kind of all of the extras that you are used to and accustomed to in life. And let's compare that to the line item budget. And what I find often is that the look back budget says that we're actually spending 30 to 50% more than the line item budget would indicate. So we want an understanding of that. We want to know how much we are spending, and doing it that way, looking at those 2 different versions of the budget, really helps to give us some recognition of where we can actually control some of our expenses. So again, in a little bit of a difficult economy, especially as prices are rising so quickly, looking at the budget, controlling expenses is going to be one of our best assets for ongoing financial success, especially in retirement.
I like that idea, the dual budget. That's good stuff. All right, next here, check your tax filing. I feel like we always end up talking about taxes. Pretty important, right, Peter?
Yeah, well, it always bugs me, Erin, that the standard language in the financial world is that these are not tax or legal recommendations. And to get those kind of recommendations, consult your tax and or legal professional, when in fact, every financial recommendation has tax implications. So we really need to have an understanding of taxes as we are looking at our finances. The 2 are not in separate universes here. They do combine and impact and affect each other. So yeah, let's look at our tax filing status, our withholdings. Let's look at our opportunities for contributions to retirement accounts and charitable deductions. And what about those RMDs down into the future in retirement? How can we make sure that we are not defaulting to the IRS's best interest plan, that we are in fact implementing our own best interest plan. Nobody wants to pay unnecessary taxes. And the old saying is, it's not what you make, it's what you keep, but it's also not what you have. It's what you get to keep out of it. And taxes are the biggest known expense standing in the middle. So let's take a look proactively at some tax planning strategies and some ways to be efficient and optimize what we get to keep.
Yeah, well said. Okay, number 4 here, review your estate plan. Again, this is something that's kind of straightforward, but not often a priority for people.
Yeah, well, it's not everybody's goal to leave a large amount of wealth behind. And there's nothing selfish about that. You worked hard to build up your money. It's yours to enjoy. And I think that we all deserve at a certain point in time to enjoy what we have worked so hard for. But the bottom line is, if you cover income, investments, taxes, and healthcare, in all likelihood, you will leave a positive, impactful financial legacy behind, and you need to do it in the right way so it's not more of a cost or a burden on your loved ones. And if you want any amount of ongoing control over those assets, maybe you don't want your kids or grandkids to burn through it in the next 12 months after you pass away. You've worked hard for it. You'd like them to appreciate it a little bit. Then you need to get these things in line. And we started, again, kind of last things first with the beneficiary designations, but there's so much more that goes into creating that positive, impactful legacy. Not only preparing the money for the people, but conversations about money within families are so important. Prepare the people for the money too. Like, have those important conversations, because it's not just a transition of value, it's a transition of values that goes along with it. And we need to think about that and have those conversations. So that is why it's an important item on our optimized retirement plan.
One of the many reasons, Peter, that I enjoy talking to you is I get a better grasp of a holistic financial plan. I like what you're saying there. And I think that it's very much wrapped up in the last point here that you're recommending as well. Check your insurance coverage.
Yeah, and there's a lot of different types of insurance, right? But one of the big ones is the protection of family if the worst case scenario is to happen to us. So that life insurance is one in particular that we need to double check up on. And I think that with the COVID virus and the 2 years of pandemic that we have been through, 2 years plus now, that people realize that sometimes life is fragile in a surprising way, and that maybe we need to get that insurance in place ahead of time. Not only life insurance, but health insurance as well, and all of the long-term care insurance that we may need later in life. The time to do that is ahead of time. It's planning, not reacting. And it's the type of thing that you cannot do the day after you need to have it done. So you need to be proactive with it. And there are different phases, different times, different reasons to have different types of insurance. I think when you're young, you've got family, you've got kids, you've got an income you need to replace, you've got a mortgage you want to pay off. Term insurance, get the cheapest bang for your buck to get the most insurance for the most affordable price to cover those needs. But I'm envisioning myself into my retirement years with my wife, and I want the permission and the confidence to spend my money along with her and enjoy our time. And I feel as though I'm going to have that confidence if I give her the ability to refill that bucket. I want to spend together and enjoy our time. And we can easily fool ourselves into believing that we may not need life insurance in retirement because we've built up the largest amount of personal wealth that we've probably ever had. And maybe the mortgage is paid off, the kids are up and out, so we don't have a paycheck that we're trying to replace. But life has a way of spending down that lump sum over the decades of retirement, and giving my wife, at least in my personal opinion, the ability to refill her bucket in case something happens to me is going to give me permission and us permission mutually to enjoy retirement together. So I think that there is a time and a place for insurance all along our lifespan, but the different types and the utilizations may evolve with our lifetime as well.
Yeah, that peace of mind though is so important.
Yep.
And then just to put a finer point on, that holistic financial plan, you supplied me with this wonderful kind of checklist, which is much more than 5 steps, Peter, but
Yeah.
this is what you offer to clients.
Well, it's 5 high-level items and then many sub-points and topics underneath each one of them. And again, our optimized retirement plan will really help address all of these, but income, investments, taxes, healthcare, legacy, you want to make sure that each year, at the very least, you are doing an annual review, and especially when times are challenging. So this is kind of the intro overview that we provide to people to get them thinking about those topics and everything that falls underneath them. But the optimized retirement plan really goes into depth on all of those items to make sure that they have been addressed. And then it's a working document where every time we are doing that review and every time we check in, some items we scratch through as being accomplished, and then we're setting new benchmarks and milestones for the upcoming future 6 months or year or however long in the future until we meet those certain benchmarks. And that, again, is what proactive planning is really all about, Erin.
Yeah. All right. Well, Peter, it is so helpful to speak with you. If somebody has any questions or if they'd like to run through that checklist with you, what's the best way to reach you?
Yeah, if you'd like the checklist on your own time, it's great to just sort of get your thoughts together or get you thinking. Give us a call or shoot me an email. Peter@richonplanning.com is the email. The phone number is 919-300-5886, 919-300-5886. You can visit online, richonplanning.com. It looks like richonplanning.com, and we can have a conversation. I'll answer any questions that you have, and if merited, if desired, we can have a kind of a longer conversation about your specific situation and how we can address those high level topics as well as all of those subtopics and points and important factors underneath them.
So important. Peter, thank you.
Always a pleasure, Erin. Thank you.
This has been Planning Matters Radio.
The content of this radio show is provided for informational purposes only and is not a solicitation or recommendation of any investment strategy. You are encouraged to seek investment, tax, or legal advice from an independent professional advisor. Any investments and/or investment strategies mentioned involve risk, including the possible loss of principal. Advisory services offered through Brookstone Capital Management, a registered investment advisor.
Fiduciary duty extends solely to investment advisory advice and does not extend to other activities such as insurance or broker-dealer services. Advisory clients are charged a quarterly fee for assets under management, while insurance products pay a commission, which may result in a conflict of interest regarding compensation.